Hey guys, if you're new here and you like what I'm putting out, don't forget to hit that big red subscribe button and turn on all notifications so you never miss an upload. The 5-part miniseries Green with Evil is probably one of the most well-known Power Rangers story arcs in the entire franchise. When you think of Tommy Oliver or when you think of Power Rangers, you probably think of Green with Evil when it comes to mind. And there will never probably be anything like it ever again because it's so unique. And in this video, I'm going to talk about it. So I don't know if this video is going to have many visuals on screen or any fancy editing tricks because I'm kind of scared of the whole Toei police and the Hasbro police if I use too much footage in this video, and hours of editing will be for nothing if they take it down. So I don't know what's going to be on screen as I work on this video. Will it be gameplay for Battle of the Grid or just me talking on a PNG picture? Who knows, I guess you'll find out once this video's up. But Green with Evil, I remember watching this set of episodes on VHS all the time. I think Australia had it better when it came to VHS for Power Rangers because we had episode 1 to 3 on one VHS and episode 4 and 5 on the other VHS. So I'm pretty sure we had it better compared to America where you guys had almost like every single episode on a single VHS. I don't know how you guys did that. You just had one episode on each VHS. That wasn't a lot of content. I mean, back in my day, like 2 episodes on one VHS for Power Rangers, maybe 3. You were set for life. I remember that. They were the days. I might make a video on the whole VHS collection for Power Rangers or the buyer's guide for Power Rangers on VHS. I'm not entirely sure yet. That'd be a bit of a deep dive into research on what's the better collection if you want to collect Power Rangers on VHS, which is a tricky thing if you want to do, and probably an expensive thing too. But I remember watching this episode all the time as a kid and loving it because it's the origin on how Tommy joined the team. And back in the day, if you're watching like stuff like Zeo or Turbo on TV, you actually got to go back and dive into the roots of things because I'm a sucker for an origin story. If a character's got a good origin story with where they started to where they are now, I'm a sucker for that, where I like seeing the characters' starting points to where they are now. And that's something I'm always going to appreciate when diving into different series that I pick up, whether it be Power Rangers, manga, anime, video games and stuff like that. I'm always a sucker for like a character's origin starting point to where they are now at the end of the series. So I always enjoy watching Green with Evil, and a lot of people remember Green with Evil because it was Tommy's starting point or JDF's starting point on the show for the franchise, so a lot of people do remember it fondly. If you're watching this video, you probably know what Green with Evil is about, but if you haven't seen it, I'll give you the Cliff Note versions. Tommy shows up, brand new kid in town, gets kidnapped by Rita, turned evil, fights the Rangers, cut off communication with Zordon, fights the Rangers some more, traps Jason in the dark dimension where Jason fights Golda, then Scorpina shows up and Scorpina is the best waifu of all time, then the Rangers fight Scorpina and the Green Rangers some more, then the Rangers fight the Green Rangers some more, then the Dragon Zord shows up, then Tommy and Jason fight, Tommy gets defeated, and then Tommy joins the team. And despite my sloppy recap, all of this was done in 5 parts. That's right. 5 parts they managed to do that. Mostly because the source material for the Green Ranger storyline in the Sentai was a 6-part episode, so they had a lot of footage to work with. And don't worry, this isn't going to be a video where I compare the Sentai, the Power Rangers. A lot of people have probably done that on YouTube. I'm not going to do it here. But I highly recommend go watching Zyuranger to see how they handled it in the Sentai. I know a lot of people prefer Power Rangers over Super Sentai and vice versa, but you gotta watch Zyuranger at least once to see what the original source material was about. Trust me, it's quite the experience when you go back and watch it. Now, where am I going with this video? What point am I trying to make? So, there will probably never be another 5-parter like Green with Evil ever again. Sure, we had other multi-part episodes in other seasons, mostly 3-parters and maybe a 4-parter if I remember correctly, but nothing on the scale of Green with Evil where a brand new ranger joined the team and it was a multi-part episode that spanned over several episodes like Green with Evil. We've never had anything like that before or ever again. And that's because it's so unique, mostly due to how Sentai was formatted and written back in the day, with how they structured their episodes. If you watch Sentai now and then Sentai back in the day, it's very different with what different writers and stuff they had working on the show. And Power Rangers, when they adapt the Sentai, like, they've got to sort of do what they can when adapting the footage. And we have had story arcs in Power Rangers, but they've been sprinkled out throughout the season. But they haven't been like part 1, part 2, and such like that. They've sort of been their own little story arcs throughout the season as the characters get development and plot moving along and stuff like that. But the reason why we didn't get any multi-parters or big story arcs like Green with Evil in the Neo Saban era was mostly due to Saban having this like golden rule saying he didn't want any multi-parters and stuff like that. I could be wrong, but I remember reading an article where I believe, I can't remember who quoted this in the article, but they said that Saban had a bunch of rules that he set for the workers on Power Rangers or the staff of Power Rangers, and there was like a formula that they had to follow where there would be a problem, there'd be a Zord battle, there'd be a moral lesson and stuff like that. There'd be this strict rule or set of guidelines they had to follow when writing the show, and I think one of them was Saban didn't like multi-parters. Why? I'm not entirely sure. I'm guessing because if the kids were like tuning in randomly, he probably didn't want them to be lost or something like that when they just like turned on the TV, saw Power Rangers. They wanted to jump in the show with like a random non-linear episode that they could totally follow. So I guess that was one of his reasons. I could be totally wrong and I could be spitballing and making random guesses and stuff like that, but I'm guessing that's probably one of his reasons why he didn't want multi-parters, because if you go back and watch like the Sentai in the Neo Saban era, that had a lot of story, or like the Sentai they adapted in the Neo Saban era, that had a lot of story arcs and multi-parters here and there throughout the show, but Saban just didn't want to do that for some reason. Now, that sort of changed in Dino Charge, where that sort of had an ongoing plot line with Tyler trying to find his dad and the Gold Ranger and finding the swords. That was very different compared to like what we had before, like Megaforce and Samurai and stuff like that. But just the early, like the Neo Saban era was kind of all over the place when it came to the writing and stuff like that. But there hasn't been another 5-parter like Green with Evil, and I don't think there ever will be, because like I said, the show doesn't really do part 1 and part 2 when it comes to episodes anymore. We have story arcs in the show, and they're sort of like throughout the show. Like more recently, when that comes to mind is the whole Grid Connection story arc, or the Dino Charge and Dino Thunder and MMPR team up. That was sort of like this this 3-part story arc where they weren't named like all the same, they just had different episode titles, but all the episodes in the storyline connected together moving forward. So that was really cool. But like I said, I don't think we'll ever see something unique like Green with Evil ever again. Anyway guys, what do you think of Green with Evil? Do you think it's an irreplaceable 5-part multi-series in the Power Rangers series? Or do you think that something will come around and replace it eventually? Or do you think there's other story arcs in the show that's done better than Green with Evil? That's a controversial statement. I think there is, but I don't want to say it. But tell me what your thoughts are on Green with Evil. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Tell me in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions and stuff like that. Anyway guys, I think that's going to bring this video to a close. Special thanks to all the YouTube members and Patreon pledges such as Swaggerful and Andrew McCoyle. If you want to get your name shouted out like these people here in the credits of the video, become a YouTube member or Patreon pledge to have your name in the credits of every video, or even a shout out depending on what tier you choose. With that said, that's going to bring this video to a close. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.